What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Ohio Sports Talk. I am your host, Doug. That's my guy, Jordan Maxson. How you doing tonight, buddy? Jordan, wake up. What's going on, Jordan? What? Jordan, can you hear me?
I don't know.
What is going on?
Are we good?
Can you hear me?
We'll do it live.
We're live. Can you hear me?
I think we're good. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, well, I just did the whole intro. What are you doing? Okay, I'm going to remove Jordan. I'm going to add him back in a minute. Okay, guys. Yeah, no, sorry about the snafu at the beginning. We are live, and tonight we have a loaded show. We're going to be talking about the Reds. We're going to be talking Cavs head coaching search. We're going to be highlighting the Ohio Bobcats, and then we are going to discuss some news and notes around Ohio. So, fun show tonight. Let me get Jordan back in here, see if he's okay. Jordan, you okay?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you then what are you doing? Talk to me, dude. Talk to me.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. I asked you how you were doing and you stood there and you stared at me.
I'm doing good. I'm doing good, brother. I'm doing good.
Okay. Well, Jordan, we got a loaded show tonight. What's going on in your world right now? All right. I don't know what's going on with Jordan tonight.
Just had a little bit of work today, set up my new area. Hold on.
Okay. Jordan is struggling. We're having some audio issues. I'm going to start off by saying I went out to the Big Play Cincinnati shop. I got the Piss Missile shirt. I wanted to support those guys over at Big Play. Shout out to them. They've been very nice to us and very supportive of what we've got going on, so I wanted to help them out. Good guys over there. They're running their show right now, doing their thing. Shout out to Drew. Shout out to the Bangalorean. Those are good guys. So fun, guys. Fun night ahead of us. Let's jump in, though. The Reds and the Guardians in the Battle of Ohio this past weekend, or this last 2 days. And the Reds and the Guardians split. Good series. The first game, the Reds, obviously, too little, too late, 5-3. Josh Naylor had his 17th home run of the year. Tyler Freeman robbed 2 home runs in the first game to really stifle the Reds. So that was rough. Nick Martinez gave up 3 earned runs in that one. So tough first game. Then the Reds come back, and game two, they're struggling at the plate. They're struggling all night, except for Candelario. Candelario has 3 hits, 2 home runs, 4 RBIs in a fantastic game. He literally put the entire offense on his back and carried us to a victory. Bibby, I thought, was throwing a fantastic game, except to everybody but Candelario. He ended up with 11 strikeouts. Nick Lodolo does it again. Didn't have his best stuff and absolutely battled all night long. Gave up 7 hits, but only 2 earned runs. So massive shout out to Nick Lodolo getting the win there. He's now 7-2 on the year. Nick Lodolo, he's pitching fantastic, pitching like an ace right now. And that's exactly what we needed from him last night. Another note from the game, because obviously it was an awesome night for the Reds. They ended up with the largest home crowd in the history of, on a weekday, in the history of Great American Ballpark. So that was a massive number. I think it was 42,000. So crazy night for the Reds. Extremely excited for them. And, you split against a good team like the Cleveland Guardians, and you get that momentum going into our next topic, which is the series against the Brewers. The Brewers continue to pace the NL Central. They are one of the teams that gives the Reds fits, constantly giving the Reds fits. They are 7 games ahead of the Reds. The Cardinals that have actually slid into the 2 spot in the NL Central right now. They're 6.5 back of the Brewers. We are 7 back, like I said. Only 2 games under 500 at this time. We're 8-2 in our last 10. We've got a plus 15 run differential. Things are going the right direction for the Reds. So I think we're maybe a tweak or two away with the roster. I believe we probably need an infielder to help, since CES is probably out longer than expected with the nerve damage in his hand. Marte will be back soon, but I do think we need a left-handed bat in the infield to help out, and then go out and get an outfielder, get a power hitter in the outfield to help bolster this lineup. Give some of these guys some help and get somebody who can hit the long ball consistently. We need a guy who can get you, 30, 35 home runs. Candelario's headed in that right direction with 11 home runs. He's now tied for the lead on the team. He is leading us in RBIs and total bases now. Actually, sorry, he's not leading us in RBIs. Spencer Steer is leading us in RBIs with 41, but Candelario's overtaken Ellie for second in RBIs. And he does have the most total bases on the team right now. Jordan's back. Let's see what Jordan's doing. Jordan, what's going on?
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you perfect. What's going on?
Not much, brother. Got was supposed to be an upgrade for our viewership, and it just had a lot of trouble logging onto the internet. So,
okay, well, we're getting into the Reds. We're talking Reds and Brewers. I'm shouting out Candelario. He's had a couple good weeks here recently. So, talking about him, and then talking about our chances against the Brewers. We got 3 coming up against the Brewers. What are your thoughts there?
Starting with Hunter Green on night 1, that's always a big advantage. He had a couple of days at rest, which took us into the first game of the Cleveland series. We pitched by committee to give Green a rest to get ready for the Brewers series. So I think he'll be recharged. I think this team is 100% locked in, even though we split one with the Guardians. But I think that's kind of all by default, Doug. We didn't have starting pitching on night 1, and it came back to bite us. And that game was a lot closer than kind of what the final box score showed. So night 2, we got pitching, and this team came through 110%. Granted, it was Candelario all night with 2 home runs and a single, but I think this team's ready to take on the Brewers and what is going to be probably the most important series before the All-Star break, in my opinion. So I think we're going to be locked in and ready to rock and roll. I think they're going to take night 1. I think we're going to take 2 or 3. I think we're going to take night 1 and night 2, and potentially, depending on rotation, maybe drop a close game in game 3. You're muted.
This is a series we have to win. It's insanely important to the Reds to win this series and get back to 500 and really put some pressure on the Brewers and the Cardinals since they're ahead of us. Yeah. So Jordan, what else do you think? What else can we do to close the gap?
I think continuing to get healthy. And, I know we're sending Dunn back to AAA, but just kind of continuing to get healthy. The bullpen's playing phenomenal right now. So if we can kind of conserve the bullpen and not go all in early on, I think we can most certainly win this series.
Pitching for us in game 1, Jordan, we've got Hunter Green, like you mentioned, tomorrow night, 8:10. Then we've got Andrew Abbott on Saturday, 4:10, and then we got Frankie Montas Sunday at 2:10. Out of those 3, Jordan, I'm worried about Frankie Montas. I know he had that really strong game where he had the no going into the 7th inning.
Yes.
But that last game, man, he was getting absolutely shelled. I'm worried about Frankie Montas. Do you have any reservations about Frankie right now?
I'm a little bit worried, but Major League Baseball is it's a marathon and not a sprint.
Yeah.
So I think he can shake that game off, because I'm a little worried about Abbott myself, because his last 2 outings haven't been necessarily stellar. He's getting in the win column, but he's always been kind of backed by the offense here recently. So I'm more interested in how he comes out and plays, and how many innings he can get out. If we get him late in the 6th, early in the 7th, before the bullpen comes out and takes over.
Yeah, Abbott won his last game against Chicago. Gave up 5 hits, 1 earned run, 5 strikeouts, but he did walk 4. So that is something to watch against the Brew Crew. Yeah, Jordan. So it was a good week of Reds baseball. We got the split. Big series with the Brewers, man. This weekend is going to be massive, massive, massive for us. 2 games under 500, like I said. A good time to jump on the Brewers and win this series and get back to that level we need to be. Shout out to Drew stopping in. We appreciate you, Drew. Got the Piss Missile shirt on.
Yes.
Shout out to you guys. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for the support. Jordan, let's transition though, because we're getting to the point in the Cavs head coaching search where we are down to 3 real candidates. So what we've been hearing, Jordan, is we're down to 3, right? We're down to Micah Nori, we're down to Kenny Atkinson, we're down to James Borrego, and then earlier today we get some news that Chris Quinn is still involved. What are your thoughts on the coaching search and where we are now, Jordan?
I'm getting a little nervous, Doug. Anytime you kind of see the names look like it's going to trim down, because earlier this week, it was being reported by multiple outlets that we were going to get Kenny Atkinson and James Borrego in the building for meetings with Dan.
Right.
So, and that to me, I'm like, well, if they're sitting down with Dan, nobody else should be in the conversation. And later in the week, now we're saying Chris Quinn. Now we're saying Micah Nori. I don't know. Does that make you excited? That makes me worried.
What are you worried about? I feel like we have 4 good candidates here. What are you? Explain to me your worries here.
They're all 4 good candidates, but anytime that I see, names added to the interview process, when it just seemed kind of like it was going to be trimmed down between 2, and now we're adding 2 more. Yeah. Are we doing a service just to be professional, or it just kind of makes me nervous that maybe Dan Gilbert doesn't know what decision he wants to go in, or Kobe Altman doesn't feel confident in the interviews they've already had or haven't had. So when you look at Kenny Atkinson and James Borrego, I mean, if they were in Cleveland this week and they already have their sit down meetings, and now we're adding 2 more names to it, that doesn't shake me as a confidence in the building that anything's going their way at the moment.
I think you're overthinking it a little bit. I think this is their guys. This is the guys we want to have. I think these are the guys that we've narrowed it down to. We've taken Johnny Bryan off the list. We've taken David Adelman off the list. We're still trimming down and heading in the right direction. I just think sometimes we get those mixed reports and it confuses us a little bit. In my opinion, Kenny Atkinson, James Borrego are the leaders in the clubhouse right now. But Mike Nori and Chris Quinn have a chance to really come in and improve and impress the Cavs brass and potentially take the job. I definitely think that's still on the table. So very interested to see how this goes down. Have you changed your mind? Is it still Kenny Atkinson, Jordan?
For me, it's still Kenny Atkinson, and I kind of touched on our Twitter page or X page, whatever we want to call it.
Yeah.
I'm more comfortable with, because the more and more I keep hearing about Altman wanting to stick with his guys and really not splitting up the core of the team, that kind of makes me feel like it's probably going to go to Kenny Atkinson, who's worked with these guys when we traded for Jared Allen and people like Chris Levert over from Brooklyn. So I'm kind of feeling like it's going to go to Kenny Atkinson. As much as James Borrego has to his resume and working out west and, really being able to apprentice under some big names, I think it's probably going to go Kenny Atkinson's way. just for the relations with the trades and the personnel that's on the squad that doesn't seem to be like it's moving. And you kind of commented on it, and I'll let you kind of take your thoughts on it, especially on Kobe Altman. I know that's kind of a separate conversation, but I think something definitely has to be said on the player personnel and how that's going to influence their decision between these four coaches.
I mean, I'm sure they want somebody who has some relationships, but I think at this point you're in a good position with four guys that are Mike Inori's an up-and-comer who had to take over the Timberwolves job. Quinn has been head of player development in Miami forever, and they turn out awesome players every year. They find some diamond in the rough. Kenny Atkinson is established. He's coached bad teams. This would be the best talent roster he's had to deal with. And he's been out with Steve Kerr, working with the Warriors, winning a title, working with Steph Curry, all those guys. And James Borrego, another guy who has fantastic X's and O's. He's great with players, but he's coached on low talent level teams. I think we're in a really good spot here. I think we have four good coaches. Everybody's been saying that the Cavs job is more intriguing than the Lakers job. And it feels to me like we have our pick of these guys, and the Lakers are going to be secondary in that. So in my opinion, Jordan, I think we're in a great spot. I'm not going to overthink it and believe, this is like nervousness. I think this is due diligence. I think we are trying to get the best possible head coach for Cleveland. And that's the goal for this team. Best coach, sign Donovan Mitchell, then we decide where we go from there. What does the roster need to look like? Does somebody have to leave? Does Darius Garland request a trade? All that kind of stuff happens after the first dominoes fall. Head coach, Donovan Mitchell, then roster. To me, shout out to Tyler McGurk, Sports with a Slur. He's going to be on live after us. Shout out to him. Leave Kenny alone. No, Kenny Atkinson's making that trip across the country coming to Cleveland. I believe Kenny Atkinson is the right guy, but I'm not going to be upset if we get any of these guys. All three guys besides Kenny can really coach, and I'm very excited about the prospect of getting one of these guys in the room for us. Jordan, it's looking more and more like Donovan Mitchell's going to stay. Are you certain that he's staying?
Yes,
everything is leaning that way. He posted the IG story. He's got the Cavs shirt on still, all that stuff. I mean, are you sure he's staying?
When we had the Cleveland rep on a couple episodes ago, I said 100%.
Yep.
Said 100%. I believe that he's going to stay. I'm still all in, Douglas. 110% now.
110% now.
I'm all in. I got my chips all in. Anybody that's ever joined the Marine Corps, when a Marine says 110%, we're going all in on that decision, good, bad, or ugly, no matter what comes out of it. And that's my 110% belief that Donovan Mitchell will be that spearhead. At least now I've read a lot of reports that it's a max deal up to 3 years. That would make sense given his age. So it also gives him another out or another contract, whether it's in Cleveland or somewhere else. Yeah. So I like those numbers. I feel confident in those numbers, and it still allows us to bring in somebody else, big name free agent wise. So, but yeah, I think he's going to be here 110%. He's going to be the face of the franchise for the next 3 to 4 seasons.
Okay. I'm glad you feel that way still, because we keep seeing these reports. He's going to sign. But until he signs and it's official and we get that press release, I am still nervous about it because, anything can change in this league. But yeah, so it seems like everything in Cleveland is trending in the right direction. But Jordan, let's move over to the college highlight. To this week, we are talking about the Ohio Bobcats, Jordan. The Ohio Bobcats, good. They've had a really nice 2 years in a row here, Jordan. They got a good head coach, a guy who probably could have left for a different job if he had decided to. But initial thoughts? I'm pulling up our research here. Ohio Bobcats, Jordan, Mid-American Conference. They play in Pittman Stadium since 1929, Jordan. 1929 in the same stadium. Tim Albin, 23-16 with the program, 59% wins. Rivals, Miami of Ohio, Marshall, Jordan. This season, they are definitely dealing with some transfer portal issues. They lost a lot of good players in the portal this offseason. They're projected to finish 5th in the MAC with a 6-6 record. Any thoughts on that, Jordan? The transfer portal taking a toll on the Ohio Bobcats this offseason.
Well, I mean, if you look at last season, they kind of overperformed. They had an extremely talented roster, and with the day and age of the NIL, this is not shocking. This is a double-digit win team. They went 10-3. They finished second in the MAC conference. So to see kind of the portal do what the portal is supposed to do when you go to a smaller school, you always want to move up to that next level.
Right.
And I think that hurts them. But man, that seems really low, Douglas. I would give them about 8 wins. I think 6 wins.
Whoa.
I think 6 wins is low. I mean, granted, they did lose some players, but they didn't lose what got them there. You look at their coaching staff is intact. Their offensive coordinator is intact. Their defensive coordinator, all that kind of front office business stays the same. Shout out to Jenna. But,
thank you, Jenna.
But definitely, and you can't take away from that. Any of those guys that got there, they were coached to be successful. So I don't think they're going to be as hit as much as this kind of computer rating / prediction rating gives them. I don't think they're going to do that bad, Doug. What about you?
Based on what I've seen and based on the top of the MAC this year, I do suspect they're going to have some issues. Miami of Ohio is loaded. They're going to be really good this year. Central Michigan is going to be a tough game. There's some definite competition up there this year, especially Toledo's always good. Toledo's a damn good program. I think it's going to be a tough year for them, Jordan. I think 6-6 is probably right where I would go. Shout out to Darren. Shout out to Jenna. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for tuning in. Jordan, the recruiting is also rough. 92nd rated recruiting class. They had 18 commits. 109th rated transfer class, 19 commits. In this day and age, you've got to dominate the portal, and they struggled a little bit with their recruiting after losing all those guys. So definitely not the best rebuild possible, but they have a good coaching staff. Like you said, they lost their coordinator, but they're still with the head coach. He's done a damn good job. Their top players, Jordan, the best name in college football right now, Parker Titsworth, center, started all 14 games in 2023. A guy who could potentially get on an NFL roster. I don't think he's an NFL draft pick right now, but he's a guy who could maybe work his way into a practice squad or something like that. And then Anthony Tyus, a transfer from Northwestern, a guy who didn't get a ton of burn at Northwestern, so he's got a lot of tread on the tires. They're very excited about what he brings to the table behind a solid O-line. And then Adonis Williams and Austin Beasley are 2 safeties, and they are the best duo in the MAC. They both were tied for 4th on the team in tackles last season. So Ohio definitely has some players. They brought in a new quarterback also, but the wide receiver core is very limited. They're going to have to run the ball, and they're going to have to run the ball a lot this year behind Titsworth and the rest of that line. I think 6-6 is a lot closer, Jordan, than you do. I'm going to pull up their schedule for you. Just 1 second. There it is. Okay, so Jordan at Syracuse. That's a tough start. Syracuse is back this year. They have a much better, improved team. And then we've got, I'll pull it up here for everybody. Then we've got South Alabama. That's a win. Morgan State. That's a win. At Kentucky. That's going to be tough. So there's 2-2 most likely right there. Akron is really bad this year. That's 3-2.
We touched on them last week.
Yep. Central Michigan is a toss-up. It could go either way, 3-3 or 4-2. Then Miami, Ohio. Miami, Ohio is really, really good this year. Buffalo toss up. Kent State's going to be a win. Eastern Michigan's going to be a toss up. At Toledo, Ball State. I mean, Jordan, the way the MAC is laid out right now, it's going to be a rough year for the Ohio Bobcats. I mean, I felt good about a couple of their games. Shout out to Drew Chickstig when you buy my shirts. Keep doing it. Oh, well said, sir. Well said. But yeah, so I think it's gonna be a tough year, Jordan. Ohio, maybe their quarterback comes out and sets the world on fire, and they really run the ball well behind that O-line. But to me, it's going to be an uphill battle. They play a hard non-conference, Kentucky and Syracuse. They've got Miami of Ohio, who's predicted to win the MAC this year. We'll touch on them in a couple weeks. But it's going to be an interesting year, Jordan. What do you think now that you can see the schedule and instead maybe you back off those 8 wins, or what are your thoughts?
I'm still going to double down. I can see him pulling off one upset there. I can see 7 to 8 wins.
I'm going to double
back
down
off a little bit. So I'm pushing my chips in all tonight. So.
I like it. I'm gonna stick with 6-6. Obviously, we are rooting for them to do well, but uphill battle for sure this season. Jordan, we've got a little bit here. Some news and notes from Ohio. Anything catch your eye around the Ohio area recently?
Oh, absolutely. I tweeted about it this morning. Ted Karras signs a 1-year extension. So we got him this year. Now he'll play through the 2025-2026 season. That's huge for Cincinnati. He'll be making $6 million a season. So we're not overpaying anything by any stretch.
Correct.
And the guy's just kind of built.
That guy's got a hell of a clothing brand right now.
That's just what I was going to touch on. He's right now in the heart of just about everything in Cincinnati. Cincinnati hat. I rock one on the show sometimes. It's definitely a good brand, a good cause. They go out and they do a lot of things in the community. He's built some strong bonds and relationship with both businesses.
It's a pretty childish brand, if you ask me. Go Browns. No, he does a damn good job. He's got some nice apparel. Good way to bring stability to the line. I like that move for them. You're stabilizing your line. You guys already have a bunch of completely monsters on that O-line.
Yeah.
You made a comment to me earlier. What were your thoughts going forward with this line?
It was kind of interesting to see some camp notes and clips. They had Trent Brown lining up at guard in certain situations, and that to me would be absolutely mind-blowing. You put Trent Brown at guard, you move Mims in at tackle, and the goal line situations look a lot different. You got a 6'7" and a 6'8" guy, both 300 plus pounds, behind a new kind of rejuvenated run game, and that to me opens up a lot of possibilities.
So, that's a massive O-line. If you could find a way to get all those guys on the field, and I don't know, Trent Brown's played so long, I'm sure he's picked up some tricks and some stuff throughout the time. I'm sure he could maybe make it work in goal line situations, but that's a massive package bringing in for those situations.
Now, granted, he's younger, but you look at players like Jordan Peterson through his career. He kind of put himself at guard position in the last couple of seasons, coming off the bench in certain situations. Right. So maybe that's it. And I'm not saying Trent Brown's not going to start all season at tackle. But if there's a possibility that, we have our first round pick ready to go at tackle, and Brown has the ability and knowledge and the want to continue to contribute on the team and just not the tackle position, I think this team is loaded with depth already. We drafted a center in the 4th round. Then we have a guy that can play the tackle in the guard position. And then we have a brand new tackle in the 1st round from Georgia SEC play. This could be Joe Burrow's best line with Cincinnati ever.
I think that's fair.
That excites me in his era. I'm not saying it's the best line Cincinnati's ever had, but I think in a Joe Burrow era where he's kind of he's kind of wheeled his way through, and it's cost him in health, Doug. He's kind of wheeled his way through some pretty bad O-line play. This kind of gives him a lot more possibilities. And, his talk in camp about not powering through injuries and taking care of himself. We're just hearing all the right things right now from Cincinnati camp. We still have some swirling issues, with the receiver position, but right now at the core of it in the trenches, things are looking up. So I was happy to see that. We signed a defensive tackle from Michigan, officially signed the dotted line. So that kind of gives me a little bit of breathing room to see if he can develop into that Tech 3 that Cincinnati's been missing. So a lot of good reports this week coming out of Cincinnati, both signing and position wise, when it comes to the trenches. So
yeah,
let's effing go Teddy. That's right, Drew.
Yeah, Drew's guy Chris Jenkins signed on the dotted line. So I think he's going to be a really good player. I don't give a shit about those guys up north, but that guy's going to be a good player for you guys. Shout out to Ricky stopping in, big Teddy fan. So let's see, Jordan. I do agree. This is most likely your best offensive line in the Joe Burrow era. You guys he's been dealing with the patchwork O-line for years now, and it's finally to the point where you guys have got some damn good players. And these guys win one national championship in the last 50 years, and this is how he treats us. But yeah, I'm excited for you guys. I mean, I think you guys have a good team. I'm worried about playing you guys. I really am. I think you guys should try Mims the first time we play you guys, just to see how he does against Myles Garrett, and then don't play him. Don't play him until then. Let him warm up against Myles Garrett and see.
Welcome to the league.
See how that works for him. Jordan, we also got some basketball news. Dayton signed their final player, a big fella out of France, Emile Letang. We dropped a YouTube video on my Flying with Doug channel. Did pretty well in the views there. So check that out. If you are a Flyers basketball fan, we got a lot of information over on Flying with Doug on YouTube and on X. But Dayton has 13 scholarship players now, Jordan. The roster's pretty much set going forward. And now it's just time for everybody to get healthy, get right for college basketball season, expecting and hoping for big things out of the Flyers this year. Jordan, we had somebody reach out to us on X and ask about the shot clock rule for Ohio. You digged into that a little bit. What did you find on the shot clock rule coming to Ohio?
On the high school level, it's still being talked about. Not many conversations since last February have really kind of come to fruition when it comes to that.
Yeah,
I'll be coaching next season, so I haven't heard anything about it on the forefront when it comes to Ohio sports on the high school level. But you got stars like LeBron James and a couple other athletes are kind of pushing for that. And other states have adopted up in the Massachusetts area. Most recently has kind of adopted that on their high school level, but it hasn't really hit Ohio yet. But I'm sure with the division restructure that we kind of touched on about a month ago, yeah, and how high school is adding 2 more divisions when it comes to the basketball level, it might come. But right now, the athletic directors are all losing their mind. The playoffs have got to get established. We're adding 2 more championships that have never been there before this season. So I don't foresee it being anything in the next year or two, in my opinion, because I don't think this new restructure is going to hold, just because it's not really feasible for the teams to travel as much as they're asking these teams to travel, adding these divisions. So let's get through this experimental season first with a broader schedule and a broader playoff schedule, and we'll see kind of how it goes. Michigan, man.
I just, how do you fall so far from the tree, Drew? There's a nice sturdy tree in your backyard, and you fall all the way down, and you roll down the hill, and you end up a Michigan. I mean, how can you get much further from you got a solid oak in your backyard, and you just roll all the way down the hill. Rankin's going to eat at 3 Tech. Chris Jenkins can stuff the run. No, I'm worried about your guys' D-line is coming together. I've been a big Hendrickson's fan. I'm going to be a bigger Hendrickson's fan when he leaves you guys. That'll be good times. Very excited about him getting out of Cincinnati ASAP. Jordan, anything else we need to touch on tonight? We've touched on a little bit of Ohio news. Anything else catch your eye recently?
Not off the top of my head, Doug. We've covered a lot of it. We've had a lot of good news, a lot of good camp news, and I'm just kind of excited to see where it all goes. I know FC Cincinnati takes the field on the 15th, so our wait is almost over. We're almost there, folks. Almost there, folks. I covered a lot on Ohio Sports Talk on our X page. They've kind of put their fish hooks in me in the last year or two. It's been exciting. Maybe Douglas and I will get to a game and experience the fandom and see what it's all about. But you got 2 days till kickoff, so that break will be over. We're pushing into the Olympics. I know we're going to cover some of that. A lot of Ohio athletes are going to be represented both for USA and Team Germany, a couple swimmers. So expect us to come out with some news there. We got a little project going on there. Expect something exciting for us. So we'll cover that in exciting ways for the Olympics. Doug, that was more about you than Anthony.
Drew taking shots on his way out. Drew, thanks for being here tonight. We appreciate the conversation. Thanks for keeping it lively with us. At our peak tonight, Jordan, we had 78 eyeballs on the show at once. Drew, Ricky, Darren, Jenna, Tyler McGurk, everybody who stopped in, we really, really appreciate it. If you could hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel, we're looking forward to continuing growing. We got some big plans coming, and everything is headed in the right direction. If Jordan could figure out his computer at the beginning of the show, this might have been an even better show. We do apologize for the technical issues. We'll be back Monday with a better beginning of the episode. Other than that, guys, this has been Ohio Sports Talk. I'm Doug. That's Jordan, and we will see you Monday night, 9 o'clock. See you guys.